Jungkook becomes the center of a global storm at Gwanghwamun. Is BTS's comeback a new visual era or a shift too far? Have you ever watched a moment so charged with questions that it feels like standing on the edge of history itself? That is exactly the sensation rippling across the global music world right now. As BTS prepares to make what might be the most consequential comeback in K-pop history at Gwanghwamun Square this coming March 2026, a singular name has ignited firestorms, emotional surges, and heated debates across continents: Jungkook. But the real question isn't just why Jungkook is at the center of attention. It's what the spotlight means for BTS, for ARMY worldwide, and for the future of visual culture in the music industry. Could this moment redefine what a global superstar looks like? Are we witnessing the dawn of a new visual era, and at what cost? Since news broke that BTS is gearing up for a comeback that's more than just a musical event, that it's shaping up to be a cultural spectacle on the iconic stage of Gwanghwamun Square in Seoul, the world has been collectively holding its breath. Industry whispers have evolved into global headlines, and what was once excitement alone has become a swirling vortex of expectation, speculation, and emotional investment. The excitement ignited when multiple sources confirmed that BTS will likely hold a massive free public performance at Gwanghwamun Square, possibly on March 20th, 2026, the same day their long-awaited studio album Erarang is set to drop. More than just another concert, this event promises to be a symbolic homecoming, the triumphant return of the world's most influential pop group as a complete unit after nearly 4 years apart due to mandatory military service. But amid that anticipation, something unexpected has taken center stage in headlines, social feeds, and fan debates alike: Jungkook. Not the group, not the music first, Jungkook. A wave of commentary, especially emerging from US music critics, has begun to frame the entire comeback as not just a musical renaissance, but as a visual redefinition, a new visual era centered around Jungkook's global presence. Suddenly, the question isn't simply whether BTS will make history again, it's whether Jungkook's visual impact is redefining BTS itself. That this would happen in 2026, after years of anticipation, is remarkable. That it would center on Jungkook, amid a group known for 7 distinct talents, personalities, and artistic identities, is shockingly dramatic. And that fans worldwide are split over it? That is the story that refuses to go away. The global stage is set. Literally, Gwanghwamun Square, nestled in the heart of Seoul, is no ordinary venue. It's surrounded by historical landmarks: Gyeongbok Palace, Sungnimun Gate, statues of Korea's great leaders, an arena screaming symbolism. When you imagine BTS performing there, the imagery is almost cinematic. A group built on bridging ancient heritage with futuristic pop culture, performing at the foot of Korea's past and present. The Korean government has reportedly been approached to secure permits for other nearby heritage sites for what could be integrated visual elements in the performance. This is not just a concert. It is being designed as a visual narrative, part history, part pageantry, part panoramic spectacle, with concert capacity estimates reaching 15,000 to 20,000 lucky spectators chosen via early registration. The event is poised not just as a music milestone, but a global media moment for fans around the world, from Jakarta to New York to Buenos Aires. The event will be broadcast live, ensuring that every moment, every look, every performance beat becomes part of the conversation. When visuals start speaking louder than music traditionally, BTS's global domination has been anchored in its music, authenticity, storytelling, and connection with fans. But now, as American music analysts and major media outlets begin talking about a visual era specifically attached to Jungkook, something unusual is unfolding. Suddenly, visual prowess isn't just an aspect of performance, it is becoming the headline. And Jungkook, long celebrated as one of the most visually magnetic performers in the group, is being lionized in terms typically reserved for fashion icons, movie stars, and cultural trendsetters. One prominent US commentator recently said, paraphrased, BTS's comeback isn't just a musical event. It's a showcase of Jungkook's visual evolution, a moment that might set new standards for how artists engage audiences, not just with sound, but with presence. And boom, Just like that, a once quiet part of performance analysis has become a global flashpoint. Fans, critics, pop culture forums, and social media exploded. Questions began multiplying faster than Twitter threads. Is this fair? Is BTS's music being overshadowed? Is Jungkook being elevated at the expense of other members? Is this a trend we should welcome or fear? Some fans cheered. Others bristled. And the debate grew more intense by the hour. The emotional spark. Why fans are reacting so strongly, perhaps the most fascinating element, isn't the speculation itself. It's the emotional intensity with which BTS's global fandom, ARMY, has reacted. Fans aren't just commenting. They're emotionally invested, polarized, and fiercely vocal. There are proponents of the visual era framing. These fans argue that Jungkook's global appeal is undeniable and that spotlighting this simply acknowledges reality. They point to his Instagram engagement, viral moments, and media mentions as evidence that Jungkook's visual charisma is a force of nature, something that can elevate the entire BTS phenomenon to new heights. There are critics, equally passionate, who argue that the narrative risks minimizing the individual strengths of the other 6 members. They question whether media focus on Jungkook's visuals could unintentionally sideline RM's leadership, Jimin's emotive artistry, Jin's vocal richness, V's creative uniqueness, Suga's lyrical depth, or J-Hope's unparalleled performance energy. And then there are the emotional heartbeats of the fandom, voices caught somewhere in the middle, cheering for Jungkook, but urging respect for the collective identity that made BTS a global phenomenon in the first place. This fan debate has become almost a story within the story, a meta-narrative about identity, media framing, artistic value, and fandom ownership. Everywhere you look, from Reddit threads to TikTok duets to international fan forums, the question is the same. What does it really mean when one member's image becomes the visual epicenter of a comeback this big? A visual phenomenon, but is it new? To understand why this moment feels so seismic, you have to consider the history. BTS has always been visual, groundbreaking live sets, fashion innovations, music video direction, choreography that becomes part of global pop culture. But the phrase "new visual era" suggests something beyond that, a redefinition. Historically, BTS's visual identity has been collective. The group's storytelling, artistic symbolism, and aesthetic evolution have always been shared across members. While individuals have stood out, the narrative was never about one face. It was about 7 voices converging to create a whole that was greater than the sum of its parts. But today, Jungkook's name is cropping up in headlines with phrases like epicenter of visual evolution and the face of the new era. That's different. This phenomenon raises a deeper question. Is this really a new kind of visual era? Or is it media hyperbole feeding off fan energy in the social media age? If the latter, that still doesn't diminish its impact. In 2026, narratives spread faster and wider than ever. The way media frames an event can shape public perception as much as the event itself. And right now, the media narrative is charged with Jungkook's visual ascendancy, whether that was intentional or not. What BTS and HYB have actually confirmed despite the growing speculation, official information remains measured. HYB has confirmed that plans for the comeback performance are in progress, that permits have been requested for iconic Seoul locations, and that details will be announced officially once logistics are finalized. What has been confirmed? BTS is preparing a major comeback in March 2026. The group's new album, Erarang, is scheduled for release on March 20th. 2026, a massive public event at Gwanghwamun Square is planned, possibly coinciding with the album drop. The event will likely also involve surrounding heritage sites, suggesting an immersive experience blending music and cultural spectacle. What has not been confirmed? Any official media labeled visual era strategy. Any statement by BTS members regarding the focus on Jungkook specifically. Any comment from HYB on internal group dynamics related to media framing. In other words, the official narrative remains music first. Despite how powerful the media narrative has become, the bigger picture, why this matters worldwide to global. Music culture, BTS's comeback is already historic. A complete group return after fulfilling mandatory military duty isn't just rare, it's unprecedented for a group of this scale. The performance at Gwanghwamun isn't just another concert. It's a symbolic return to the world stage, and that's where the Jungkook conversation gains deeper layers. Because this isn't just about one artist. It's about how global audiences interpret image, identity, and influence in the age of hyper-connected media. If Jungkook's visuals become a talking point of this comeback, it isn't merely a reflection of physical charisma. It reflects how audiences today consume not just music, but presence, narrative, and imagery. It reflects how fandoms react when the spotlight shifts. It reflects the power media wields in shaping the stories we tell about art and artists. And for ARMY, a fandom known for emotional intelligence, passionate advocacy, and deep attachment, this moment is essentially a mirror. Some see pride. Some see imbalance. Many see complexity, but everyone sees meaning. What fans are saying, beyond the headlines across platforms, emotional voices paint a vivid picture of how this moment feels. One fan wrote, "I adore Jungkook's visuals, but I love BTS as 7 stars in the sky. If we lose that constellation, we lose the magic." Another said, "If this visual era helps BTS reach hearts that never heard their music, it's a win." In Indonesia, one ARMY shared, "We're not just waiting for a concert. We're waiting for a moment that could redefine what we think is possible." On global forums, the debate is happening in multiple languages, multiple time zones, yet one question consistently emerges. Does a spotlight on visuals take away from the soul of music, or does it amplify it? The performance will tell the story in just a few short months. BTS will perform at Gwanghwamun Square. Rang will release. And millions, if not billions, around the world will watch, stream, and share every moment. Will Jungkook's visuals be the headline? Will BTS emerge not just as musical giants, but as architects of a new cultural era where presence is as powerful as sound? Will fans embrace this evolution or push back against it? The answers will come not just through headlines or social media buzz, but through the moment itself, when Jungkook steps onto that stage. When RM raises the mic and speaks to the crowd. When Jimin, V, Jin, Suga, and J-Hope unite under the same spotlight. That's when the narrative will reveal itself. For now, the world watches, waits, and wonders. Are we witnessing the birth of a new visual era, or simply the next extraordinary chapter in BTS's unrivaled legacy? Only time, and that moment in March, will tell. Social media frenzy. Jungkook at the center social media has become both a battleground and a pulse check for ARMY. Every movement Jungkook makes, every stylistic choice spotted in rehearsal photos, is dissected, shared, and debated. The hashtag New Visual Era is trending not just in Korea but across platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Weibo. Global engagement metrics suggest that Jungkook-related content is generating record-breaking interactions, dwarfing most other posts surrounding BTS's comeback. The debate is split along emotional lines. Some fans celebrate the recognition of Jungkook's visual prowess as a natural evolution of BTS's global branding. Others caution against media overemphasis on one member, fearing that it could skew public perception of the group's identity. Yet another faction delights in the dramatic tension itself, turning speculation into interactive fandom storytelling, theorizing how each member's role will unfold in a live performance designed to astonish. Analysts in the US have even begun framing the event as a test case for how pop culture navigates individual stardom within collective fame. In an era where TikTok virality, Instagram aesthetics, and YouTube moments shape perception instantly, Jungkook's rise as a visual epicenter may represent a paradigm shift in global entertainment strategy. The emotional undertow. Why this matters to ARMY beyond trends, metrics, and media buzz, there is a deep emotional layer to this moment. ARMY has waited nearly 4 years for BTS to perform together again, a collective yearning intensified by the members' military service absences. For many fans, Jungkook's spotlight is not just about media framing. It is emotional validation, a tangible symbol of growth, resilience, and the continuation of BTS's legacy. Yet, with emotional intensity comes tension. Heated online discussions reflect love and loyalty mixed with fear of imbalance. Fans ask, Will this era amplify BTS's collective artistry, or will it unintentionally center one member at the expense of the rest? The stakes are high. Every live-streamed moment, every social media post, and every media article will feed into a narrative that could reshape the global perception of the group. For a fandom that thrives on detail and emotional investment, the narrative itself becomes a part of the performance. Arirang, a cultural statement.